Today, I want to talk about something that many of us experience in relationships, but often don't have the courage to address: the idea of ghosting someone back, especially when they don't deserve our time, attention, or energy. We all know what it feels like when someone walks away without a word, leaving us wondering if we did something wrong, if we're not good enough, or if something could have been done to prevent it. The truth is, ghosting isn't just about the act of disappearing. It's a reflection of the other person's inability to communicate and respect us. But here's the thing: ghosting someone back doesn't make you petty, it makes you smart. It means you've realized that your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to value it. Now, let's break down why ghosting him back might actually be the best move for your mental and emotional well-being. Self-respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship. It's about knowing your worth and setting boundaries that preserve your mental and emotional well-being. When someone ghosts you, it's a direct violation of your time, energy, and trust. Instead of chasing after explanations or trying to fix the situation, ghosting him back is an act of reclaiming that respect. It's a reminder that you don't have to beg for someone's attention or affection. You simply deserve to be treated with decency and consideration. Often, when someone disappears without a word, we may feel insecure or doubt ourselves. We might think, "What did I do wrong?" or "Am I not good enough?" These feelings are natural, but they're based on the actions of someone who lacks the maturity and decency to handle their emotions and communicate properly. Ghosting someone back isn't about trying to make them feel bad. It's about asserting that you are worthy of respect, and that includes not having to deal with someone who can't show up for you in a meaningful way. Self-respect means recognizing that you are valuable and that your time is precious. When you're constantly giving someone your time, energy, and emotional bandwidth, you need to ask yourself, is this person returning that same respect? Are they showing up for me in the way I deserve? Ghosting someone back helps you affirm that your needs matter. It's a clear signal to yourself that you won't tolerate being treated like an afterthought or someone who is disposable. At times, we may justify someone's ghosting behavior by telling ourselves that maybe they're just busy, maybe they're going through something, or maybe they didn't mean to hurt us. While empathy is important, it's also essential to recognize that inconsistency and lack of communication are not justifiable. If someone truly cares about you, they'll find a way to communicate, even if it's difficult. Ghosting him back helps you realize that it's not your job to chase after someone who isn't putting in the effort to maintain the connection. Having self-respect doesn't mean you'll never experience moments of doubt or hurt. It means that, despite the temporary pain, you'll ultimately choose your own peace of mind and well-being over trying to fix someone else's inability to value you. The longer you allow yourself to be someone's backup plan or emotional security blanket, the more you let your self-respect slip away. Ghosting him back is a protective action, safeguarding your self-worth from further harm. When you choose self-respect, you're actively rejecting the cycle of uncertainty and emotional turmoil that comes with waiting around for someone to make up their mind about you. It's liberating to realize that you don't need validation from someone who can't offer consistency. Your peace and happiness are not dependent on their approval or attention. Ghosting him back shows that you're strong enough to walk away and strong enough to stop investing in a relationship that isn't mutual. It's important to recognize that self-respect is not about superiority or arrogance. It's about understanding that you are deserving of healthy relationships based on equality, trust, and care. If someone fails to show those qualities, ghosting them back is a reminder that you will no longer sacrifice your peace for someone who isn't willing to offer you the same. It's a simple yet powerful act of self-preservation, and in many ways it's an affirmation of your own value. The reality is that we all deserve relationships where mutual respect is at the core. Ghosting him back doesn't just preserve your dignity, it sets the standard for how you expect to be treated moving forward. When you choose to respect yourself enough to walk away, you set a precedent. You're telling yourself and the universe that you won't settle for less than what you deserve. The idea of closure is often romanticized in relationships, especially when things end abruptly or without explanation. We convince ourselves that we need some final conversation or some piece of information that will help us make sense of why the other person disappeared. However, the truth is that closure doesn't always come from the other person. It often comes from within. Ghosting him back highlights this truth. It shows that you don't need his explanation, his apology, or any form of closure from him in order to move on. Closure is not a magical key that will fix your feelings or heal the hurt someone else caused. Many times what we think is closure is simply a form of emotional validation, a last attempt to have control over the situation. But the reality is that life doesn't always provide us with neatly wrapped up answers. Ghosting him back is an act of choosing your own closure instead of waiting for someone who may never give you the answers you seek. In this way, you're reclaiming your emotional autonomy and choosing to move forward on your own terms. We often look for closure as a way to resolve our feelings, thinking that if we can just understand what went wrong or why things ended, we'll feel better. However, this is a flawed belief. People may never give us the closure we're looking for because they themselves may not have it. People are messy, complicated, and often don't have the emotional maturity to provide the kind of resolution we desire. By ghosting him back, you allow yourself the freedom to process your emotions without relying on someone else to dictate how that process should unfold. Furthermore, closure from the other person can sometimes be more painful than healing. An apology or explanation may not always be sincere, and sometimes it only complicates the emotions you're already dealing with. The closure you need could simply be a moment of realizing that you are worthy of respect, and that this person's actions speak volumes about their inability to treat you well. Ghosting him back enables you to accept the reality of the situation without getting stuck in a cycle of confusion or false hope. There's also a tendency for people to stay emotionally attached to the idea of closure, waiting for the right time to have that final conversation. This waiting period can extend weeks, months, or even years, prolonging your emotional pain. Ghosting him back is a way to put an end to the waiting. It's a declaration that you don't need anyone's permission or validation to move on. You are your own closure. It's an empowering choice to say, I'm not waiting around for someone to give me what I deserve. And instead, you choose to move forward in your own time and space. In some situations, the other person may even try to re-enter your life after they've ghosted you, attempting to offer closure, as a way to tie up loose ends. However, this often comes with their own agenda and may not be genuine. By ghosting him back, you avoid falling into the trap of emotional manipulation or unnecessary drama. You avoid allowing him to reopen a chapter that should remain closed. You have already made peace with the situation, and his attempt at closure may be a mere attempt to control the narrative or gain emotional leverage. Choosing to ghost him back gives you a sense of control over your own emotional journey. It allows you to process the end of the relationship without the burden of needing to understand his reasons or actions. It's a form of self-empowerment. Instead of waiting for someone to give you an explanation, you become the author of your own story. You decide when and how you want to heal. Closure is something you give yourself, not something you beg for from someone who has already shown a lack of consideration for you. Moreover, ghosting him back signifies that you are no longer emotionally dependent on someone else to provide the validation or answers you think you need. The search for closure often leaves us lingering in the past, stuck in the same emotional loop. By choosing to walk away without looking for a final conversation, you free yourself from the cycle of overthinking and obsessing over what went wrong. You acknowledge that the relationship, or whatever it was, wasn't meant to last, and that's all the closure you need. Letting go is one of the hardest things we can do in any relationship, especially when emotions are deeply invested. When someone ghosts you, it's an obvious signal that they're not ready or willing to give you the respect or attention you deserve. However, even in these situations, we often hesitate to let go because of emotional attachment, nostalgia, or fear of being alone. Ghosting him back is a powerful act of letting go and accepting that someone who isn't willing to meet you halfway isn't worth holding on to. The fear of letting go can sometimes come from the belief that we won't find someone else, or that the person who's ghosted us was the one. We might rationalize their behavior by thinking they must have been busy, or that it's just a phase. But the truth is, if someone cares about you, they will make the effort to communicate. The fact that they chose to ghost you in the first place reveals that they weren't truly invested. Ghosting him back allows you to break free from this false hope and recognize that someone who doesn't value you isn't worth the emotional strain. Letting go also means recognizing that relationships are not meant to be one-sided. If you've been putting in the effort, making compromises, and showing love, only to be met with silence or neglect, it's time to face the reality that the other person isn't committed. We often cling to the hope that if we try harder or give more of ourselves, they'll eventually come around. However, this kind of thinking leads to burnout and disappointment. Ghosting him back is an act of self-preservation, an acknowledgement that your time and emotional energy are better spent elsewhere. When someone ghosts you, it's a direct message that they either don't value you enough to communicate, or they aren't capable of having a mature conversation about what went wrong. This is a reflection of their character, not yours. Letting go means accepting that their inability to treat you with respect or consideration is not a reflection of your worth, but of their shortcomings. Ghosting him back allows you to step away from this emotional imbalance and realize that you deserve someone who doesn't leave you wondering if you did something wrong. Another aspect of letting go is the realization that holding on to someone who's emotionally unavailable or uninterested can prevent you from growing and moving forward. We often get stuck in the idea that we have to fix a situation or make things work, but this can hold us back from new opportunities and healthier relationships. Ghosting him back is a decision to prioritize your own growth and well-being. It's an acknowledgement that your life will be better without someone who can't meet your emotional needs. Letting go doesn't just mean ending the connection with that person. It also involves letting go of the emotional weight they carry with them. When someone ghosts you, it can leave you feeling confused, insecure, and questioning your worth. These feelings are heavy, and they take up space in your heart and mind. By ghosting him back, you're choosing to lighten that emotional load and free yourself from the hurt they caused. It's about reclaiming your emotional space and saying, "I am worth more than this." Furthermore, letting go helps you regain control over your life. When we hold on to relationships that don't serve us, we surrender our sense of self to the other person. We allow their actions or inactions to dictate how we feel and how we view ourselves. Ghosting him back takes that power away from him and places it back where it belongs, with you. It's a reclaiming of your autonomy, your happiness, and your peace of mind. Letting go also allows room for healing. Sometimes we hold on to people because we're afraid of facing the pain of being alone. But the reality is that we can't fully heal if we continue to tie ourselves to someone who doesn't deserve us. Ghosting him back is a courageous act of stepping into the unknown, embracing the discomfort of letting go, and trusting that better things are ahead. It's a reminder that by releasing someone who isn't worth your time, you open up space for new experiences, new relationships, and, most importantly, a renewed sense of self. In any relationship, especially one that ends abruptly, there's often the potential for unnecessary drama. Ghosting, in particular, can leave a trail of confusion, frustration, and emotional manipulation. Responding to someone who has ghosted you might seem like the right thing to do, but often it can lead to a never-ending cycle of back and forth arguments, emotional games, or hurtful exchanges. Ghosting him back is a clear and decisive way to avoid these unnecessary dramas. It's not about being petty, it's about protecting your peace and avoiding being dragged into a negative, emotionally charged situation. Drama can take many forms in relationships: misunderstandings, accusations, guilt trips, or even the cycle of making up and breaking up. When someone ghosts you, there's often a desire to seek answers or confront them. But this confrontation is rarely productive. It can lead to more confusion, more hurt feelings, and deeper emotional scars. By choosing to ghost him back, you bypass all of this. You refuse to engage in unnecessary emotional turmoil, and instead choose to protect yourself from the chaos that can arise from prolonged interactions with someone who isn't willing to communicate effectively. Another aspect of drama in ghosting situations is the emotional manipulation that often accompanies it. When someone ghosts you, they often do so because they don't have the courage to be upfront about their feelings or intentions. In some cases, they might reappear unexpectedly, hoping to rekindle things or keep you emotionally tied to them. This can create a toxic dynamic where you're pulled in and out of their life, only to be left hurt once again. Ghosting him back ensures that you avoid being the emotional pawn in his game. You take control of the situation by choosing not to engage in any drama that might arise from their lack of communication or commitment. It's easy to get sucked into drama when you don't have closure, or when someone reappears with half-hearted explanations for their actions. You may feel a sense of obligation to fix things or to make sense of the situation, even though it's clear the other person is not invested. This can create unnecessary conflict, especially when you feel like you're putting in all the emotional work while the other person is avoiding responsibility. Ghosting him back removes you from this cycle entirely, allowing you to avoid further entanglement in drama that's only going to exhaust you in the end. One of the most draining aspects of relationship drama is the constant emotional roller coaster it creates. The highs of feeling wanted or desired, followed by the lows of rejection or confusion, can leave you feeling emotionally unbalanced. You may find yourself second, guessing everything, questioning what went wrong, or wondering if you'll ever find someone who won't make you feel this way. Ghosting him back helps you avoid this toxic cycle. Instead of riding the emotional waves of someone else's behavior, you take the wheel and drive yourself toward emotional stability and peace. Drama also often arises from external pressures. Friends, family, or even social media can make situations more complicated than they need to be. When you're invested in someone who is emotionally unavailable or inconsistent, other people may start to notice and weigh in with their opinions. You might hear things like, "Why are you still talking to him if he's treating you like that?" Or "You deserve better, so why are you letting him get away with this?" These external voices, while often well-meaning, can add to the drama by making you question your own decisions or encouraging you to keep fighting for something that's not worth the effort. Ghosting him back allows you to silence those external pressures and focus on what's best for you, free from the noise of others' opinions. Additionally, emotional drama can stem from a lack of self-awareness in the person who ghosted you. They may show up again expecting everything to be okay, without understanding the emotional toll their behavior has taken on you. They may want to pick up where things left off, assuming you'll simply accept them back into your life without considering how their actions have impacted you. Ghosting him back is your way of establishing boundaries and demonstrating that you won't allow yourself to be mistreated. It's an act of standing firm in yourself worth and refusing to be dragged back into a situation that's not healthy for you. Finally, avoiding drama means choosing peace over conflict. You can't control how the other person behaves, but you can control how you respond. Engaging in dramatic, heated exchanges only leaves you emotionally drained and mentally exhausted. Ghosting him back is an empowering decision. It's your way of saying, "I choose peace, and I will not allow you to disrupt my life any longer." By taking a step back and refusing to participate in the drama, you're choosing your emotional well-being over the chaos that often accompanies unresolved feelings or mixed signals. One of the most powerful realizations you can have in a relationship is that you deserve to be with someone who truly values you. It's easy to get caught up in a situation where you're emotionally invested, even when the other person isn't fully committed or invested in you. When someone ghosts you, it's a clear sign that they are not valuing you in the way you deserve. Rather than chasing after them, ghosting him back is a way of affirming that you will not settle for less than you deserve. It's an act of self-respect and self-love as you prioritize your worth over someone's inability to meet your emotional needs. When you're with someone who values you, their actions will align with their words. They will show up when they say they will, communicate openly, and treat you with kindness and respect. Ghosting you is an indicator that the person on the other side doesn't understand the importance of mutual respect in a relationship. By ghosting him back, you are signaling that you are no longer willing to accept the absence of respect. Instead of chasing someone who has shown no interest in treating you with the care and attention you deserve, you're choosing to preserve your dignity and focus on your own value. People who value you will not leave you in a state of confusion or uncertainty. When someone ghosts you, it sends the message that you don't matter enough for them to even offer a brief explanation or closure. They're essentially telling you that they are comfortable with your emotional investment, but they are unwilling to reciprocate in a meaningful way. Ghosting him back is your way of cutting ties with someone who has already shown that they cannot appreciate you in the way that you need to be appreciated. It's a tough but necessary step toward prioritizing yourself over someone else's neglect. The reality is, when you continue to give your time and energy to someone who doesn't value you, you start to diminish your own worth in your own eyes. You begin to doubt your own value because the other person is failing to recognize it. Ghosting him back allows you to reclaim your self-worth and recognize that you are not defined by someone else's inability to appreciate you. You are not someone's second choice or backup plan, and by choosing to ghost him back, you remind yourself that you deserve someone who sees your value and makes you a priority. We often stay in relationships where we feel undervalued because we believe that love or affection must be earned, and that we are somehow at fault for not being enough. But the truth is, real love and appreciation come from mutual respect, effort, and consistency. When someone ghosts you, they show you a lack of these core qualities. Ghosting him back is not about punishing them. It's about protecting yourself from continuing to invest in someone who doesn't show up for you in the way that you deserve. It's about making the conscious decision to walk away from someone who has made it clear they cannot offer you the emotional fulfillment you are seeking. The emotional cost of being with someone who doesn't value you is high. It can lead to feelings of insecurity, frustration, and sadness. You might find yourself constantly wondering what went wrong, or trying to figure out how you can get them to care more. This emotional roller coaster is exhausting and only deepens the hurt. Ghosting him back allows you to put a stop to this cycle. It's a decisive action that says, I will not keep sacrificing my peace and happiness for someone who doesn't appreciate me. It's a moment of taking back control and choosing to not let the absence of their love or commitment diminish your self-esteem. Moreover, when you recognize your own value, you open the door to healthier relationships that are built on mutual respect. The more you allow yourself to be treated as second-rate, the longer you delay attracting someone who will value you for who you are. Ghosting him back isn't just about moving on from a single person, it's about making room for someone better suited for you. It's about acknowledging that your time and energy are precious, and that you won't waste them on someone who doesn't know how to appreciate you. By ghosting him back, you send a clear message to yourself and to others that you are not willing to settle for being treated poorly. You deserve someone who will make you feel seen, heard, and appreciated, someone who is invested in building a relationship based on trust, communication, and respect. When you stop chasing someone who doesn't value you, you free up the emotional space needed to find someone who will recognize your worth and make the effort to meet you where you are. You deserve nothing less. Emotional health is just as important as physical health, yet it's often overlooked in relationships. When someone ghosts you, it can take a significant toll on your mental and emotional well-being. You may feel confused, hurt, or rejected, and you might question your self-worth. Ghosting him back is a way of protecting your emotional health by ensuring that you no longer give space to someone who is actively causing you emotional distress. It's an act of self-care, allowing you to focus on healing and regaining your emotional balance without the added burden of unresolved feelings or emotional manipulation. One of the most significant ways ghosting affects emotional health is by creating a cycle of anxiety and uncertainty. When you're left without any explanation, your mind begins to race with questions. What did I do wrong? Did they lose interest in me? Are they seeing someone else? These questions can eat away at your peace of mind, leaving you in a constant state of anxiety. Ghosting him back is a way of breaking this cycle. Instead of continuing to torture yourself with what-ifs, you take back control by deciding to walk away and protect yourself from further emotional turmoil. The emotional stress caused by being ghosted is often compounded by feelings of loneliness. As time passes without communication, the silence can make you feel isolated, as though you've been forgotten or left behind. This loneliness can be incredibly difficult to cope with, as you might have invested time, energy, and emotions into someone you thought you could rely on. Ghosting him back is a way of stopping that emotional bleed, allowing you to stop waiting and start prioritizing your own emotional health. You take a step toward ending the painful emotional roller coaster and begin to reclaim your sense of peace and independence. Furthermore, ghosting is often a tactic of emotional avoidance, and it can trigger feelings of rejection that linger long after the other person has gone silent. When you're left hanging without explanation, it can lead to deep self-doubt making you question your own worthiness. You may even start to wonder if you'll ever find someone who will treat you with the respect and attention you deserve. Ghosting him back is an act of self-preservation that helps you resist internalizing these hurtful thoughts. It serves as a reminder that someone who disappears without a word is not worth your time or energy, and their actions don't define your value. Another way ghosting him back protects your emotional health is by preventing you from becoming emotionally dependent on someone who has already demonstrated emotional unavailability. The longer you continue to seek validation from someone who is emotionally distant, the more you risk losing yourself in the process. You might find yourself constantly trying to get their attention, approval, or love, while neglecting your own emotional needs. Ghosting him back puts an end to this unhealthy dynamic, helping you regain your emotional autonomy. You stop relying on someone who isn't emotionally invested and start focusing on building your own emotional resilience and strength. Relationships should provide emotional support and encouragement, not constant stress and uncertainty. When you're constantly wondering where you stand with someone, it creates an emotional imbalance that can take a toll on your mental health. The uncertainty can lead to depression, anxiety, and a sense of helplessness. Ghosting him back is a way to regain balance and control over your emotional well-being. You stop participating in a relationship that destabilizes you emotionally and start the process of healing and restoring your mental clarity and peace. Additionally, when you choose to ghost him back, you take a stand against emotional manipulation. People who ghost others often do so to avoid confrontation, taking the easy route instead of addressing issues directly. This lack of communication can leave you feeling powerless and unimportant. By ghosting him back, you assert your own emotional boundaries and signal that you will not tolerate being treated in such a careless manner. It's an act of self-respect that protects you from being manipulated or mistreated emotionally. Lastly, ghosting him back is an act of emotional resilience. It shows that you are capable of standing up for yourself and choosing your emotional well-being over someone else's neglect. It's important to recognize that no one is worth sacrificing your mental health for. By taking a step back and cutting off someone who isn't willing to be there for you, you demonstrate that your emotional health is your top priority. It's a courageous choice that not only protects you from further harm, but also sets the stage for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. One of the most empowering decisions you can make after being ghosted is to move on and allow yourself the space to find something better. It's easy to feel attached to someone, especially after investing time and emotions into them. However, when someone ghosts you, they are signaling that they are not as committed or interested in you as you are in them. Ghosting him back is your way of moving forward and giving yourself the opportunity to meet someone who will appreciate you and treat you with the respect and care you deserve. It's about releasing yourself from the past and being open to new possibilities. Holding on to someone who has shown a lack of interest or consideration for your feelings can keep you stuck in a cycle of waiting and hoping for something that isn't going to happen. Ghosting him back is a way to break free from that cycle. It's an acknowledgement that the relationship as it stood was not healthy or fulfilling, and by letting go, you open the door to healthier, more rewarding relationships. Moving on isn't just about walking away from the person who ghosted you. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight they left behind and choosing to prioritize your own happiness and growth. The process of moving on is often painful, but it is necessary for emotional healing. When you let go of someone who doesn't value you, you create space for new experiences and new people who will treat you better. Ghosting him back allows you to stop emotionally investing in someone who has shown no interest in nurturing the connection, and instead start focusing on your own well-being and emotional growth. The pain of moving on is temporary, but the freedom and peace you will gain are long lasting. It's a way of acknowledging that you deserve better, and you're willing to move past someone who couldn't meet your needs. One of the main reasons we hold on to people who aren't right for us is fear. We fear that there won't be anyone else who understands us, or that we won't find another connection as strong. This fear can make us linger in unhealthy situations longer than we should, all while the person we're clinging to is either indifferent or completely unaware of the damage they're causing. Ghosting him back is a rejection of this fear. It's a way of choosing faith over doubt, trusting that moving on will eventually lead to something better, something that will fulfill you and bring you the love, respect, and attention you deserve. Letting go also allows you to reclaim your sense of self. Relationships, especially ones where you're emotionally invested, can sometimes cause you to lose sight of who you are. You may start to define yourself by the relationship, or by the way the other person treats you. When you move on, you rediscover your individuality and your worth outside of the relationship. Ghosting him back is a way of giving yourself the opportunity to refocus on your own passions, dreams, and values without being overshadowed by someone else's inability to meet you halfway. Additionally, moving on after someone has ghosted you opens the door to new opportunities. Whether it's meeting new people, trying new activities, or simply focusing on personal development, moving on allows you to embrace the future with a clean slate. Ghosting him back signals that you're done with that chapter and are ready for the next one. It's a declaration that you are willing to let go of the past and embrace the unknown, confident that better things await you. The longer you hold onto someone who isn't worth your time, the longer you delay the potential for something better to come into your life. In moving on, you're also taking back control of your love life. Relationships should be about mutual effort and growth, not about constantly chasing someone who is emotionally unavailable. Ghosting him back empowers you to take back control over who you allow into your life, giving you the opportunity to be selective about the people you invest your time and energy in. You are no longer waiting for someone who doesn't have the decency to communicate with you. Instead, you open yourself to the possibility of meeting someone who values you and will be there when you need them. Finally, moving on after being ghosted isn't just about finding a better partner. It's about learning and growing from the experience. Every relationship teaches us something about ourselves, our boundaries, and our needs. By ghosting him back, you close that chapter and take the lessons with you, allowing them to inform your future relationships. You become more aware of what you need, what you won't tolerate, and how you deserve to be treated. In the end, moving on helps you become a stronger, more self-aware person, capable of attracting a relationship that brings you joy, peace, and fulfillment. Ghosting him back isn't about revenge or playing games. It's about reclaiming your power, protecting your peace, and choosing yourself. When someone shows you that they can disappear without explanation, that they can disregard your feelings and leave you hanging in silence, they are telling you everything you need to know. You don't need closure from someone who didn't have the decency to give you honesty in the first place. By choosing to walk away without looking back, you're not being cold. You're being courageous. You're refusing to let someone else's indecision or emotional immaturity dictate your self-worth. You're putting an end to a chapter that brought more confusion than clarity and more pain than peace. You are worthy of consistency, communication, and care. You are deserving of a relationship where love isn't a guessing game and respect isn't conditional. Ghosting him back is your silent, powerful statement that you will no longer entertain anyone who treats your heart like it's disposable. So close the door, block the number, mute the memories, and keep moving forward, because real love doesn't vanish when it gets inconvenient, and the one who is truly meant for you will never leave you questioning your value. Let him go because he's not worth it, and you are,